and I mean, you're gonna have their emails, so we can plug them into a marketing system when you get that in place. But like right now, but for anything, any of this other stuff that like I've been teaching you, and you see me teach all these other insurance agents, that's jet fuel. But if you don't even have a spark, it's just water. All right, you got like some time for this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. So I just kind of like took everything that you texted me about the other day, and just like kind of my observations of you. And like I texted you earlier, like if you want to be successful and you want my help, I'm just gonna like take you through like my brain process of how
All right.
I handle situations and how I get in the right mindset. And like my
Uh-huh.
goal is to get you to start thinking in the right way. And I'm not, there's no way that this one Zoom is gonna fix every single thing that might be holding you back. But my goal is to try and like break through some of those things and some of those beliefs and some of those mindsets.
Okay.
So
Thanks, man.
yeah, no worries. So the first thing I asked you earlier is, do you want to be an entrepreneur? And I want to ask you that again.
Definitely.
Okay, so why do you want to be one?
I want control over my life. Like I want freedom to create things, and like I don't want to be tied down to like a desk job. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to provide for my family really well. I want to be able to go on trips. Um, I want to make a big impact. Yeah. I mean, those are some things that come to mind right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Control travel trips, impact, provide for family. Okay, so out of those ones I just wrote down, you said control, you want to be able to travel, you want to go on trips, you want to make a big impact, and you want to be able to provide for your family.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the most important?
Um, I think like being able to provide well for my family, my future
Okay.
family, myself. Yeah.
So,
Not, and then also, I mean, yeah, there's so many places in the world I want to see though too. So that's a big one. Travel. Impact is definitely up there too.
so all of them are
So,
important.
so all,
Okay, but if you had to pick one, like you can take some time to think about it,
yeah.
or let's just dive into those a little bit. So, you said provide for your family first. So,
Mm-hmm.
why do you think that's important?
Um, I'm really just like tired of being stressed about finances and bills, and um, always thinking about like how much stuff costs and like whether or not I can do things and pay for things. And like I want to put my kids in a good position like right away in life. Like I want them to be able to have a lot of opportunities, and I want them to be able to travel like I have with my family. Um, I just want to be able to take care of my kids, my wife, and myself. Yeah,
Okay. And why do you think travel is important?
I love traveling. I don't know. I
No, that's
mean,
fair. Like that makes sense.
yeah, it's just yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. Honestly, it's just see different places and go on adventures, and yeah, there's so many beautiful places on the earth I've never even seen that I want to see.
Okay, and what about impact?
Um, yeah, I mean, we could go pretty deep on this one, but um, I mean, I've had a lot of like really impactful people in my life. Like, I mean, you're one of those people for sure. Um, Other people I'm close to, I mean, Austin Krogan is a great guy. He's really impacted me a lot. Um, yeah, I mean, my life is just so much better because of the people I have in my life. And also, I've learned a lot from people on like YouTube, like Ed Milet, the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, a lot of different people. But yeah, I just feel like my mindset where it is right now, which I'm not saying my mindset's where it needs to be, but it's definitely a lot better than it would have been if I didn't have a lot of impactful people in my life. So I want other people to have that too.
Why do you feel like that needs to be you?
It's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't have to be necessarily like impacting people at that level necessarily or on that scale, but I don't know. I just like making people feel good, and I like people being happy, and like I like making a difference in people's lives. Like, I mean, relationships are just so important to me.
Okay.
Like, I love being around good people, and like,
Yeah. So, I mean, based on those three answers, I honestly feel like impact's probably your least important. And correct me if I'm wrong, but would you say that there's any like vanity or like pride in the impact answer?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to condemn you. I'm just trying to, first of all, understand you, but I also want you to understand you.
Yeah. I might take some notes too, actually.
Okay. So you have travel and you have provide as what seems to be the most important, because you really didn't bring back up control. Now that may be important to you, but you just didn't say it again. So what do you think would keep you from being able to provide a great amount of money or like a great life for your family and be able to travel, but not be an entrepreneur, like having a job that allows that?
Like, why do I think I can't do that with a job?
Yeah.
And also make a lot of income?
Well, I mean, but you really didn't say the word a lot of income. You said you just want to be able to provide and not stress over finances. You want to be able to travel. So, I mean, using your own exact words, why do you think that with a job you couldn't have be able to provide greatly for your family and still travel?
I don't know.
So then what other, and I'll stop interrupting you, but what other reasons are there that you wouldn't want to do this through a job?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I just don't enjoy working for other people, you know? Like, or I don't know. It depends. Like, I like working for you, but I feel like there are quite a few employers out there that like don't necessarily have your best interest at heart. And I feel like it's not like as stable either. Once you get established as an entrepreneur, I feel like it's more stable than having a job where you can get let go at any point in time. I don't know. And also, like, I like the idea of being able to build up my business to the point where it's like making me a certain amount every month and like on repeat. Like, I don't have to worry about it. Like, if I get sick or like if I want to take a month off and just travel and not work, that's an option, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like that idea. Not that I would necessarily do that a lot, but.
So I will point something out to you. You said that I was a good employer, but you still quit working for me to go pursue something on your own.
True.
Why do you think you did that?
It's a good question. So you're making me think about a lot of things I haven't really thought too much about. Like,
that's good.
Yeah. I'm going to probably take a little bit of time to respond to you. I don't want to just like try and think of stuff right away.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm trying to figure out what a stronger motivator for you is, because I can tell you for me, I probably have a lot of similarities in why I want to be an entrepreneur. But the thing that motivates me isn't what an entrepreneur can get me. It's that I don't have to go back to being a slave. It's that I don't have to work for other people. And so that's a stronger motivator for me than anything that being an entrepreneur is going to get me, or like that I'll be able to achieve. Even though those things are good motivators, My biggest motivator is that I cannot work for another person, and I know I'll never succeed at that. And that's why my mindset is I'm going to make my business work, or I'm going to die trying, because I can't go back to that. So I'm trying to figure out, do you have a positive motivator or a negative motivator?
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge one for me too.
It kind of seems like it.
I've had so many jobs that I don't know. I try to be careful because it's like I try to be optimistic and positive as much as I can be too. But at the same time, like sometimes I have days where I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I hate this. Like I'm not excited about this work I'm doing. Like at the car wash, I don't get excited at all, really. I mean, the money's good, the stability's good right now, and it's temporary, but I can't imagine working there like another year, 2 years, 5 years, 10.
So, I mean, ultimately, I think you're going to have to come to this conclusion on your own, but I think you're probably similar to me in that all of these things that being an entrepreneur can get you, they're great and they're awesome and they're great benefits. But I think the thing that's going to drive you and the thing that's going to get you to work 6 to 8 more hours after you're working at the car wash, or the thing that's going to get you to work 16-hour days if need be when you're doing this full time, is the fact that if you don't do that hard work, if you don't do the stuff that's tough right now, you're going to go back to that. You're going to go back to having a boss. You're going to go back to doing work that doesn't fulfill you, that you don't have fun doing. And I think you need to hone that in and have that become your motivator.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I think about, I mean, what you just said totally resonates, because every time I'm like thinking about the things I have to do, and like, you know, if I'm stressed because I feel like, you know, there's just too many things to get done, or like too many things in my mind, or like on my plate right now, I just always remind myself like, all right, sure, like I have a lot going on. I have a lot that I still have to do. I have a lot to learn. Like I have to hustle a lot, but it'll be worth it when I'm not working at the car wash anymore. Like it'll be worth it when I'm just completely on my own. Yeah. So, I mean, that is, now that you say that, that's something I think about all the time. And like that does drive me, thinking that once I build it up enough, I'll be able to be on my own. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm gonna write that down. That is your motivator. Okay, so let's go back to, I was asking you this earlier. So how do you, let's like take insurance business aside, whether you're working for somebody else, whether you have your own business, like what do you define as success for you? So like if you looked at yourself 5 years from now and you had the most perfect world, or perfect like if you could imagine yourself in 5 years and everything was perfect and you were successful, what would that mean?
Yeah. So, I don't know why, but like $10,000 a month is a big goal of mine, but I want to be farther than that in 5 or 10 years. I mean, I don't know. This is another thing that's hard for me to answer, because sometimes I feel like, I don't know, you know, I don't want to be like greedy, but also like maybe that's like something.
I can tell you that both being Christian people, there's like we constantly have like this mindset of like, okay, is this what God wants for us? And there is definitely, most of the time is where we can think of like, am I being prideful? Am I doing this for the right reasons? But when you're setting goals for yourself and when you're setting like motivations for yourself, I don't think that's the time to have it. I think it's just to sit there and like let it all flow in and be like, where do I want to be? Like you really want to dream, and you don't want to limit your dreams because you think it's not right for you.
Yeah.
Your success and God will end up figuring that out for you. But like when you're setting goals, when you're dreaming, where you're thinking of like where you want to be, it's just let it be free. Like let it be loose and like dream as big as you can.
Okay.
But I mean, I like that you said $10,000 a month. Like that's specific. Like that's. Yeah.
But yeah, that's more, I feel like even more short term than like 5 or 10 years. Like 5 years. I mean, honestly, if I could be up to like 30 or 40,000 a month, like that'd be amazing.
Okay.
But and I don't think that's like too out of this world. I mean, like listening to talk about like his numbers and kind of the, what he does, especially if you're building the residual kind of like income stream up,
Absolutely.
like health insurance. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I mean, yeah, we don't even have to talk about 5 years from now. That's just kind of what I was using to help you paint this picture. But I mean, where you're at right now, like the most achievable goal that's also reaching out is $10,000 a month. I feel like that's a good one.
Okay. I'll write that down. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like, I mean, earlier you gave me a text that had like 5 to 10 different things. And honestly, I think you needed to narrow that down. So now it comes down to, it seems like money. So why do you think money is what would make you successful?
I mean, I feel like it just kind of like is a record of like how many people you've helped, Like I think the more people you help, the more money you make. Also just, not having to worry is a big thing for me. Not having to stress about finances and like, I don't know. I guess I've seen like certain things I've done in the past financially as like failures, like,
Yeah, you want to get to a place of abundance, because once you get to a place of abundance, and it's a good short-term goal, because you can get out of this scarcity mindset, this place where you're not making decisions based on what is best for you and for your business, but you're making it based on how the hell am I going to pay the bills this next month, right? And so, that 100% makes sense. And honestly, I think money is a good benchmark of success. Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to define themselves by money or that success means money, because it's different to every single person. But for your specific scenario and what we're trying to get you to achieve, I think I'm glad that you kind of have put it at money and that you have this number in your mind, because it helps me help you get there, right? If your measure of success was just to like make a new friend every day, like there's nothing wrong with that, but that's hard for me to give you like a direct plan to do that. So I'm glad that you have come down to like this. I really like this $10,000 a month goal. So,
awesome.
I do too. So we found your motivation, and that's that you want to, first of all, stop working for other people. You had that for a little bit, but I don't think you had the stability. So you had to go back. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's to stop working for people and to never have to work for another person again.
Yeah, 100%.
And we found what you define as success, but that's not really as important anymore now that we know your motivator. So really, I think your goal is to get to $10,000 per month as fast as possible. Would that make you feel accomplished?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Because that would get you'd definitely be able to stop stressing over finances. You'd
be able to travel some.
You'd have stability. You wouldn't have to work for another person. You could definitely save up. I mean, a single person living, I mean, like you could probably get by with $3,000 a month in expenses. So yeah, you could definitely save up and get to the point where you only have to work 10 months a year if you want. Lots of different things with that. So I truly think that goal helps you achieve a lot of these things.
I do too. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how are you going to reach that goal?
So I think, I need to have down like daily activities. I feel like that I do every single day. Like I've been doing the outreach a little bit. I haven't been 100% consistent with it. And it's kind of worked a little bit. I feel like I'm still figuring that out. Maybe I need to like connect with different people. I've started to connect more with like realtors. So I'm going to see how that works. I feel like a lot of the like coaching people.
Let's look at it at a more simplified way. So before we get into what ways, let's just get into like mathematically how can
numbers. So he was saying the average monthly premium is like about $60 for what he does for individual health. Now I don't really know like what a standard like group policy is, which I want to do some of those too, because you don't have to do as many of them. And they pay a lot better. It's $36 a person usually. Instead of, well, it depends. I mean, because some of the private health plans pay better, but like the ACA plans usually pay between 18 and 20 a person. So they paid about double. And you know, you might be able to find a company where you're getting 20 employees at one time. But I mean, yeah.
So you
If we're talking
said,
about individuals, I need to sign up 500. And that's if I don't do, well, that's if I don't do any like kind of upselling, cross-selling, if it's not a family. So I mean, it's, yeah.
so
You see what I'm saying?
500 clients would get you to 10,000 a month residual.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's not focus on that because that's not fast. I mean,
Okay.
it is, but it isn't. So
Yeah.
if we want to get you to $10,000 a month as fast as possible, you need to be selling things that are worth more money, right?
Okay.
So if that is the route, if you want to do health insurance, how do you make more money per person?
Selling IULs, life, annuities.
Okay. That's life. But
Mhm.
aren't there other
Or-
policies you can sell?
Yeah, we're adding like hospital indemnity plans, cancer plans.
Okay, so let's look at that. Like if you add those on, what's your average premium per person?
See, that's hard to know.
Why is it hard to know?
Because it depends on the person, you know, it depends on the health status, their age,
Okay, so well, let's just
what all I add to, you know.
let's stop focusing right now on as an insurance person. Like it's super easy to be like, well, I need to help everybody, but as a business person, that just doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
let's look at from a health insurance perspective, who can you make the most amount of money from?
From health insurance.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Medicare pays really well right off the bat, but that's
But
the
okay,
first.
let's just stick with health insurance, like under 65 health insurance. Who
Older people
who can you
typically
sell the most bundled shit together to? Like describe that person. How much money? How old are
probably,
they?
yeah, over probably somebody that earns at least 10,000 a month, maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe not even necessarily 10,000, maybe 5 to 10 or more
Okay, and why?
thousand, because they can afford extra coverage and all that.
Okay, well, don't worry about what they can afford because that's not
Okay.
necessarily up to you. Somebody could like be making 3,000 a month and they decide they want to pay a lot.
True.
Let's not worry about income, but like what I'm trying to get at is like if you sold the most bundled together product, what would that all include?
So I'd have a bunch of health things in there. I'd have like it'd be a short-term medical plan with a hospital indemnity plan with a cancer plan. I'll write this down too.
Short-term medical, hospital indemnity. Would you do cancer? Would you do critical illness?
Probably critical illness, just to be a little more encompassing. And I think I mean, that costs more if that's what you're asking.
I mean, we're literally just looking at it at a business perspective. So, I mean, what makes you more? But I mean, as long as it's still going to be good for them.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
critical
illness are good. Yeah.
Okay. And then accident.
And then like an accident policy.
Okay. And then dental.
Yep. Dental and vision.
Okay. Is there anything else you can throw onto that? Or is that like the good bundle coverage?
I mean, that's pretty solid. Short-term medical, hospital indemnity, critical illness, accidental, dental, and vision.
Okay, cool. So this should be your goal with every single person you talk to.
Okay.
So let's figure out how much you can make from selling that entire bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do that right now?
Yeah. Let's see.
So you have to sell 70 a month, but then month.
No, I would just have to sell 70 total.
That's just. Oh, true. Yeah, but then you only get there for a year, right? Stuff starts dropping off after a year.
I guess, yeah.
But okay. So I guess technically, if you sold 70 in total in a year, you would get there. It wouldn't necessarily stay that long.
Yeah.
So you definitely wouldn't want to quit after getting to 70, but that is true. Okay. So, all right, that's super easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so your goal is to sell 70 in the next 12 months. I think that is an extremely easy goal to hit. But here's the first thing, and I really wanted to talk to you about this. You should forget everything we just talked about, and your very, very first goal should be to do one enrollment.
Yeah.
Right? Because you haven't even done one yet, right?
Yeah, true.
Okay, so you got to get the first one under your belt. Now, let's go back to what we were talking about. So, what are you going to do to reach that goal of selling one?
So I did a little bit of cold calling the other day to realtors. I've done some outreach on social media. I think YouTube is really going to be a big thing too. I feel like that could generate me, but I don't know if that'd be like, I guess my first sale. That might be a little bit.
Right, because so YouTube's not going to make you any money. The effects of YouTube down the road might bring you leads, but you making a YouTube video is not going to make you money.
Right.
Okay, so I would honestly say, unless you have extra time, forget YouTube. Until you sell that first one, forget YouTube.
Yeah.
You need to sell your first one before we do anything else. So I think that literally every single minute of every single hour that you're working outside of the car wash, you need to be messaging people on Facebook or cold calling. And to let you know, those are the exact same thing. So you brought up cold calling the other day, and like, I don't ever want to fucking cold call because that's just me. But I was thinking, like, to be completely blunt, you may not be good enough at sales yet to have success with messaging, because messaging is the exact same thing as cold calling. But when you cold call somebody, you're now forced to either sell this person on the phone right now, or they're probably never going to talk to you again, or they're going to hang up on you. But if you're like messaging somebody and you're trying to progress them along the sales cycle, they can just stop responding at any time. So it takes being good at sales to continue that process. So I mean, honestly, what I would say is just split up half your time. So cold calling doesn't take any momentum. You just pick up the phone and you're going to call people. That's going to suck, because most of the time people are not going to be nice or interested. But I mean, you're probably going to get better at it the more you do it. But with messaging, if you decide that you want to do messaging, you have to religiously friend people every single day. Otherwise, you're going to run out of people to message. So, like, do you see any reason why you think you couldn't sell a policy a week from now, like between like the next 7 days?
No.
Okay. I think that should be your first goal. You cannot let, I'm going to message somebody and wait for their response. You cannot let that be something that keeps you from taking action. So you can't be like, well, I'm not going to cold call until I know my presentation. So like, if he's going to help you with that, that's awesome. Or if you're going to get help with that, that's awesome. But between now and when you get help with that, you still need to be taking action in cold calling and messaging. If we look at health insurance, two different scenarios. It was this thing we just built right here, and that's for the healthy entrepreneur that doesn't qualify for subsidies, right? Otherwise, you have somebody that does qualify for subsidies, and then from my understanding, you should still try and sell them critical illness, accidental, dental vision, and out-of-pocket protection, along with their ACA, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone that doesn't fall within those two categories, just shoot them to Health Sherpa so that they can shop themselves.
It's not healthy, self-employed, makes a lot of money.
Or qualifies for subsidy.
Okay. Right.
Because they get free ACA or heavily discounted, so then they would have some money to put into these ancillary products. Okay. So, but I mean, since you're cold calling, I mean, so you just need to qualify that first. Like, you're not going to have a lead. You're not going to be able to ask them questions. So at some point, we can start that for you. But I don't want to have you start working on paid leads, whether it's the VSL or leads or a combination of both. Like, we can start those at some point and light this thing on fire. But you need to be comfortable. Because the other day when you were taking me through it, and I know it's different because it's you and me, but like, you had no passion behind it. You didn't even know why I should buy an accidental. You don't know why I should buy critical illness. And you need to sound like those are the coolest things in the world. Like, people need to believe that they are, and they are. Like, people can get free money because by spending. It's literally like life insurance while people are living is what those things are. So tomorrow, do you work at the car wash?
Yeah. I work, I think 7 to 2, I want to say.
Okay, so when you get home,
Double check, but yeah.
let's say you get home at 2:30 or 3. Dedicate 2 hours to figuring out what your presentation is going to be. Because if you're calling people and you don't know what you're going to say, you're not going to sell people and you're going to be screwed. Okay?
Yeah.
So I would write it all down. I would take them through. You need to ask qualifying questions up front. Do they have pre-existing conditions? If they do, how much money do they make? If they have pre-existing conditions and they have a lot of money, then just send them to Health Sherpa, right? You're not going to spend time trying to like sell them. Just be like, cool, I have a link. You can actually shop yourself. Unfortunately, you're not going to qualify for any of the private insurance stuff because you have pre-existing conditions. You're going to be on ACA, and you're going to have to pay full for it. So those are the people that you don't want to spend your time on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can also potentially enroll them if they're up for it still, you know?
That's,
I can run it real quick.
yeah, I mean, if you can do it quickly and you got them on the phone, but I mean, the amount of time it took you with me the other day, you could have called like 30 or 40 more people in that amount of time.
Yeah.
So you really
Also
got to think
because,
about that.
Yeah, you're right. I need to pinpoint like everything.
Because if they're just gonna like shop their options on ACA, like, I mean, truthfully, they can go and look at that themselves. Because if they're paying full amounts for, if they're paying like $400 or $500 and then they got an $8,000 deductible, they're not gonna want to spend money on these ancillary things as well. So that's a tougher person to sell.
Yeah.
So I really think like in your presentation, it needs to be, especially if you're cold calling, you need to figure out something that's going to get attention quickly. And your tonality needs to be excited. So, hey, how's it going? This is Nick. And then let them respond. And just, hey, I see you do this, and this. That's awesome. I used to do a little bit of that. The reason I'm calling is because I'm actually a health insurance agent. I noticed that you're self-employed. It looks like you do this full time. Do you currently have health insurance? I mean, I would just do a lot of questions and try and get them to respond. That's going to be something that you're going to have to honestly figure out yourself. When you're cold calling, you can try out a whole bunch of different things until you figure out probably what works the best, and then do the exact same thing every single time after that.
And also, I didn't even mention life, but if they don't have life insurance, that's a major one.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that you should just focus on health for now, and then a month or two from now, go back and recall all these people and then talk to them about life.
Okay.
And I mean, you're going to have their emails, so we can plug them into a marketing system when you get that in place. But like right now, for any of this other stuff that like I've been teaching you and you see me teach all these other insurance agents, that's jet fuel. But if you don't even have a spark, it's just water, right? You need to have a spark in order for jet fuel to actually work. So that's what we need to focus on, you figuring it out right now and getting comfortable with. So I think that you also need to treat every single phone call as a one call close. Like, you should not allow yourself to get a maybe. You should get a no, or you should get a yes. And if they say no, you should ask them why, because then you can figure out how to get better next time.
Okay.
I know that probably seems weird, but like, I think that's how you're going to figure out or learn the quickest. And then I would highly suggest recording all of your calls so you can go back and listen to them and be like, okay, what could I have changed here? Okay, so we'll do another Zoom call a week from now, but between now and then, your goal is to get one enrollment. And even if it's just a short-term medical or just a hospital indemnity, that's fine. But you really should try and get a full package sold.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you find somebody that needs ACA and they qualify for tax subsidies, then try and sell them critical illness, accidental. But that should be your goal. So if that's your goal, we need to figure out exactly what you're going to be doing this next week. So you have 7 full days. So here's kind of the meat of what I wanted to get into, and not necessarily in how much time it's going to take, but this is like very important. So in order to reach this goal and eventually your goal of 10,000 a month, what sacrifices are you willing to make?
I mean, I need to sacrifice, like, probably going out as much. Definitely alcohol. I'm done with that. I decided I wasn't going to drink last night, but then, heck, I wasn't even going to stay out past an hour, but then my friend Doug, I was, like, about to leave, and he's like, dude, please don't leave. Please don't leave. Like, hang out, man.
Dude,
I'm like, bro, I need to get home. And he's like, dude, come on, man. I love hanging out with you.
your
I have a
friends
hard time telling people no.
your friends don't have your best interest in mind. As
Yeah.
awful as that realization is, they don't. Everybody's best interest is their own. So they're never going to respect what you say when you're already out with them. Like, your friend's not going to be like, oh yeah, dude, you got to go work on your business, you should go home. Like, as much as you want that to be reality, it's not going to be a reality. So you can't even, it's like an alcoholic. You can't let an alcoholic go into a bar or they're going to drink a shitload. They're not just going to have one beer. As much as they want to just have one beer, or they tell you they're going to have one beer, they're not. So it's the same thing with hanging out with friends or going on dates with girls, or literally like watching TV. Like, that's probably not a big one for you, but that's a big one for other people. Or video games. Like, this is your priority right now, so you can't even let yourself do those other things. So I want you to come to the realization of what you're going to sacrifice. But if it were me telling you, like, I don't think you should go out at all. So, like, for the next 7 days, if anybody says, do you want to go out? No. If you sell a policy, then yes, you get to reward yourself by doing that. But if not, don't even tell people, yeah, I probably could by Friday because I'll sell a policy. No, unless you sold a policy this week, the answer is no. And same with if a girl texts you, like, I don't care. Like, you cannot hang out with them until you sell a policy. And you honestly probably shouldn't be texting anybody. Like, it's just a distraction. Yeah, I'm sure it's hard, but ultimately, when it comes to that, God's going to have your back, and God is going to put the right woman in the right place at the right time when you're doing the right thing. So a girl or a woman that texts you right now and it's a distraction from what you're called to do, which is build this business, it's probably not the right girl. And if you're out and you're being distracted from building your business, it's probably not the right girl. So what I would tell you to do is put your head down, and I seriously think for like the next 7 days, we should write out exactly what you're going to do, and you should not deviate from that no matter what. You shouldn't text anybody making plans. Like, if you don't respond to somebody, they're probably not going to hate you, and if they do, then they're not the right person anyway. So I seriously think for like the next 7 days, you should work. You should put in at least 5 hours cold calling and messaging people. Have an hour to work out, or 2 hours to work out, however long it takes, and then you should go to bed. Like, you shouldn't do anything for the next 7 days besides cold call, message, work out, sleep, and eat.
Do you think I can message people whenever I want? Like, if I wake up early, I can message you over?
Yeah. Like, people don't, especially on Facebook, they don't care. If it wakes them up, then they can turn the notifications off. That's not your fault. It's not text. Like, most people have their phones on vibrate. It's way less intrusive. So yeah, I would do that at like 5 a.m. if you want. Like, it doesn't matter.
I wish that Derek guy didn't just ghost me, but
I mean, just give him a random call one day. Give him a call from a different phone number.
yeah.
I mean,
That actually good.
the worst thing that's gonna happen is he's gonna answer, and then if he's not interested, and you can move on to the next person.
Yeah.
So you can buy a $1 Google Voice number from his area code and call him that way. I mean, dude, to get the peace of mind, whether or not he's interested or not, it's worth it. Like,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
left it.
I mean, if you want to call him, you can, but otherwise, I would just call it a no and move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, seriously, if you just do that for the next, because we're gonna have the same conversation next week, having you sold a
Okay.
policy, but
Yeah.
with you selling a policy, we're gonna have different goals, but you still are gonna need to make sacrifices in the long run. It's not just this week, but I think practicing and just having your mind think, what are we doing this week, and having just tunnel focus on the next, tunnel vision on the next 7 days. That's just all you need to be worrying about. Because honestly, the schedule of work at the car wash, then work on my business for 5 hours, work out, and sleep is obviously not fun. But it's, so if you only think of only having to do that for 7 days, that's not really that big of a commitment to actually have to do
Right.
that. And
Yeah.
we'll see how things go. Like, I'm anticipating if you actually do that, you're gonna sell 2 policies, you're gonna double your goal. So like when we look at my business and how you sold for me, you came in and you had no idea what to do, but I had an exact thing for you to say. It was a bit easier because you knew exactly what product you were gonna sell, but we've kind of just done that for you. Like, ideally, you're gonna sell this bundle, right? So there's no more ambiguity of like, oh, you could get an accidental. No, it's like, bro, you're getting an accidental, and here's why. Like, you should seriously be trying to sell all of these, because you know it's the Rolls Royce of coverage. It's like the best thing for these people, and you're not doing any. You're actually doing a disservice by not trying to sell these things. So
Yeah.
now that you know what you're selling, if you need to cut some things off, that's fine, but that should make it simpler. So the only real thing you're missing is the exact how-to of what you're gonna say, and the only way you're gonna find that out is by taking action, right? Which it's kind of like a chicken or the egg situation, because you don't know exactly what to say, but you still need to call people, and so you're gonna figure it out by doing it. So understand that your first 100 calls are probably gonna suck, but make those first 100 calls in the first 2 days, and then start to formulate, hey, I said this way, and that person responded positively. I'm gonna keep that in the presentation, and then do a bit of research too, but don't spend 5 days on YouTube and then cold call for 1 hour, right?
Yeah.
Spend 1 hour on YouTube and then put that into action.
Okay. I like it.
Because once you figure out what you're gonna say every single time, and you figure out the flow of how to bring somebody from just knowing you all the way through to being able to make a decision, then you could scale this thing. Like, everything's figured out at that point.
Another thing that's kind of been like stressing me out is how like some of the companies I'm already contracted with through his agency are also our group health insurance companies, but I guess that's not really
Dude,
it's not a big deal. But
so here's where it's gonna help you to focus on only the next 7 days, because all of that shit probably causes you to sit there and think, and that's time that you're not spending calling people. So don't worry about life, don't worry about annuities, don't worry about group, don't worry about an agency with me, don't worry about anything except for selling your first policy right now.
Okay.
Anything else that comes to your brain that isn't that, push it out.
Okay.
Everything else, it'll be fine. Like, I can tell you that the world is not going to end, and you're not going to permanently damage your career with any of these things that you stress about.
You're right.
The other thing I wanted to say is that your goal is you want to grow closer to God. So I think that you need to go to church every single Sunday, and then you should also go to groups. Okay, so what are you going to do tomorrow?
I called him this morning, and I think he asked that I call him back tomorrow.
How do you get yourself into all of these non-productive calls?
So I feel like they're leading to productivity later.
Yeah, but they're really just distracting you from productivity now.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the type of stuff that like feels like you're getting stuff done, but it's not moving the needle in any direction.
Yeah.
It's actually probably moving the needle backwards.
Well,
Same with like all these, like, I know that it like feels like progress, but even like all these meetings with FMOs, IMOs, and like that type of stuff. It's just it's all great to like talk about business things and like what we can turn this into, but
Yeah.
right now you're the only person in your business, right?
Right.
So like if you looked at your business from the outside and you had employees and you were spending money on these employees and you had marketing and you had sales and you had all of this, but all of your salespeople sucked at sales and they couldn't sell, would you continue to go and like meet with other people, or would you figure out how to get these people to sell?
Get them to sell.
Okay, right. So you're the only person in your business right now, and you need to sell in order to live. So that's like the only thing that like you can be putting time into right now. And
Right.
everything else you just need to politely say, hey, I need to reach out at another time when I'm a little less busy. And that's
Yeah.
code for you can reach out once you get your shit figured out.
Learn how to actually get things going quicker, but
I don't doubt that, but right now, like we just talked about, you have everything.
Right.
You have all the jet fuel because I know how to
Yeah.
give that to you, but you don't have the spark. So the one thing that you need to learn from somebody else that I can't teach you is a presentation. So if this guy can give you his exact presentation, which I highly doubt he can, because to be honest, most insurance salespeople don't even know what the hell their presentation is. They just kind of randomly talk. He might be able to, but I doubt he's going to. And if he did, he wouldn't probably give it to you very organized. It's kind of like when I tried to train you. You know, his phone calls were just like 2 hours of him telling you old stories. It's like training people is actually hard, and like people don't realize that. And so even though like talking to people that were in the business or are in the business, unless they're actually trainers and like training people, they typically aren't going to be very useful. Or you might be able to pick up like one or two things, but that's not what you need to learn right now. So
yeah.
I mean, I personally would just, for at least the next 7 days, I would push all that stuff away.
Okay.
Okay, so is there anybody else that you need to call tomorrow? Because you named off like 5 super time wasting things.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Okay, so we've decided you only need to talk to one person, and that's for 5 minutes. And that girl you need to follow up with, right? Those two? Okay, do you know what time you have those, like, are any of those on your calendar? Like, as a specific time?
I put them in as events just to remind myself, but they're just whenever I get home, basically, and can.
Okay, so you should get out a piece of paper and you should write this down. All right, so do you want to do like half cold calling and half messaging? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have people still to message, or are you like back? Have you lost momentum because you stopped friending people? Oh, okay, so you probably have a fair amount that'll take up. Okay, so yeah, write this down on a piece of paper. I would literally write down. I would have 2 columns. I would have your to do, as in like your schedule. So like work from blank to blank, work out from blank to blank, and then work on business from 3 until 8. So give yourself 5 hours to work on it, and then split up. I would give 3 hours of that time to cold calling, and seriously call the entire 3 hours tomorrow. But
Okay.
put 2 hours before that as figuring out your presentation.
Okay.
Okay, and then give yourself 30 minutes to do those other to do things, like call that girl and call that guy.
Okay.
And so then you'll be working tomorrow for a total of 5.5 hours. And then
After.
yeah, and then go to bed.
Apologize.
All right, can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't feel like doing it, make yourself do it.
Alright.
Okay?
Yeah.
You're going to learn more tomorrow than you've ever learned, and record everything, because that's going to be super valuable.
You're a real MVP, you know that?
Dude, I have to do this stuff with myself.